Hello there, and welcome to a little quick run through on the new Cam Studio recorder, now in version 2.7, and it's repaired a whole bunch of bugs and made some things that were settings issues where they're already preset so that you don't have to be worrying about them. The old 1 pixel over issue with the regions, it used to keep swapping its problem location between fixed region or window or full screen, making it so you would get an error using any MPEG-4 type of encoder or codec like XVID or DivX or any of those. Now that's been solved so that what you put into fixed region is indeed what you actually record, okay? And was adding a pixel to 2.6C. It worked fine in 2.6B, but it didn't work. It broke in the window. So if you used size it to create a certain size window that you were recording, a recording window, then you had to subtract a pixel from it because it was adding a pixel. Anyway, all that's immaterial now because it doesn't plague us anymore. It's all been fixed. Another big deal that's been fixed is that in the video options now, it automatically snaps to the correct settings here for capture frames every and playback rate, so that the two when multiplied will always sum to 1,000 when you have the auto adjust checked and the lock capture and playback rates checked, which you should leave checked. It's checked by default. So as you can see, if I move through, it stops at numbers that multiply to 1,000, okay? And including a real low 8 and 125. And so now that that's set, you won't have to worry about inadvertently setting it to odd numbers, since the Cam Studio doesn't have a way of rounding off or putting in decimal points for the playback rate. So you couldn't use 30 frames a second because there was no way of putting a decimal point in the capture frames every and the playback rate. So 30 would have required 33.33 in here in order for the two multiplied to become 1,000. So that was broken. Now you can't even choose that without unchecking this, and I recommend you don't, because your audio will drift out of synchronization. And also, as you see, when it came up, it had a default value already in there of 50 and 20, which is a good average value. It's not super smooth. You can increase the rate to 25, say, or for playback rate, or even 40 or 50 if you're recording something with a lot of motion in it and you want smoother action. And you can select your DivX, your XVID, DivX. Now all of the codecs that you've got installed will make an appearance in the list. Make sure that they're 32-bit codecs when you download them, because Cam Studio is a 32-bit program and needs 32-bit codecs even if you've got a 64-bit machine. In the XVID codec, when I select that, let's just quickly show you under Configure. Right now I have the profile selected for 720. If I was doing a full screen, in my case, I would pick 1080 here. Okay. I always use the maximum quality, single pass, for everything I've done. One nice trick for people needing smoother video is to uncheck this BOPs, and you may get smoother video for doing game recordings and stuff like that. Okay. So that's the big deals there. Also, in other options, if you're getting a screen come up, a window come up, make sure this is unchecked, display encoding status. Okay. All right, so there's all your details for getting it running. Now let's go look at the audio settings. Usually you want to record audio from microphone. Now if you wanted to record audio from speakers, this setting here where it says record audio from speakers may work on your machine, but most likely it won't. It uses old hooks and hardware hooks that are left over from the old XP days, though some hardware still utilizes these hooks, and so once in a while we run into a modern computer that this will work. Well, you can try it, but most people need to use stereo mix in order to record the system audio. So you would select record audio from microphone, and then under audio options for microphone, you would make sure that you have selected stereo mix, okay, as your input source. And then you, what I use, would usually be stereo. You can usually use what they want. 44.1 stereo 16-bit is what YouTube prefers. So if you're just going right out the door with stereo, use that. For one microphone, I usually record using the mono setting. But that's another issue. It's a way of listening to the stereo mix and sending it to your mic settings. Anyway, it is sending your mic settings to the stereo mix. I have a video on YouTube about that. If you use PCM and have the 44.1 16-bit or the stereo or the mono, that's the same thing as use MCI recording. Well, if you have it set to stereo. If you want the mono, make sure it's unchecked. But basically, all this does, use MCI. You set it to what the system settings are. Okay. Now let's just take a look though at some system settings for a Windows 7 setup, and this applies to Vista too. As you see, I have stereo mix showing here. If I wanted to get my audio from the system, well, first of all, I would right click on this empty background and make sure show disabled and show disconnected are both visible. And then if I have stereo mix available, it would show up here. I would then right click on it and set it as the default device. Okay, which I can't do now because I'm actually recording. Then when I'm inside of there, I can send it to my speakers by saying listen to this device, so that if I'm not able to hear it through the speakers because I've sent the signal there, I can just send it by listening to this and send it out to my my speakers. All right, so if you run into that problem, you can do that. There we go. And so that's the big deal on there. Make sure your stereo mix is set up. There's other videos that go deeper into how to use stereo mix, but that's how you make it available, by making that setting as the default, and then you can hear it in your recording, whatever the system sounds are. You'll see another recording that I've made here for how to include the microphone along with the system sounds. Now, all the usual settings are still there. You can enable auto pan, which makes the cursor follow the action, and so that I can pan around the screen. Or you can still set under region, under region, fixed region, you can still set this right here, drag corners to pan, and that's what I just did to pan that little bit, is I drag the corners. Okay. Also, remember when you're doing fixed region, you can fix the top left corner. We started out this video with it set for me at 200 and 200, and that's where it wound up on my screen. Okay, and at a 1280 by 720. And the height, when you see 720p or 1080p, that's the height of the video. And then it uses the 16:9 ratio to compute what the width is. So 720 is always 1280 wide, and the 1080 is 1920 or something like that. Okay. So, all right, so there you go. There's some settings. All the other tools work the same, but we have these major glitches that have been fixed, and the biggest one, the most important one, is that now the settings for the capture frames and everything are, when you use the auto adjust, the slider will automatically compute the settings inside of here to be when you multiply them, they come to 1,000, which equals 1 second, which is what you have to have. Now, then you uncheck this if you want to set a different keyframes. We have it set to 100 now. I actually usually do my videos with it set to 200. Okay, and but that's because I also use 110. I do very slow. Here we go this way. That's my setting for doing most of my recording. So I used a faster default setting. I used this one for this recording. Okay, the 40 capture and playback rate of 25. All right, well anyway, I hope this has all been very helpful for you, as you can get up and running with Cam Studio thanks to this quick little review. I'll do a real step-by-step right from the install level. Now if you want to go, in a future video, I'll probably do pretty soon. There's been a few requests for it.